on this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. Let's make wax museums hip again.
And thanks, Paris. That's hot.
And do you want to be tickled? To death? Let's do this.
I think we roll with that one. Welcome to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. I'm Diana.
And I am Liz. Every freaking time, like, I open my mouth and I'm like, why? Why do I want to burp now? I didn't have to burp for the last 6 hours. But right now, how much air did I just suck down? But anyways, I'm still Liz, still here. Still Devil's Trap Podcast. Still talking about Supernatural and a bunch of other bullshit.
Yeah, that's what we do. That's what we do.
That's what
this
we
week
do.
We're gonna talk about fallen idols. But first, what have you been up to, Liz?
Not a damn thing. Seriously, nothing. I think I live in my office or on my couch. So there's not a ton going on with me. Familiar lizard Godfrey, aka the horny bearded lizard. I think he's got bearded. I think he's horned. And don't know the gender. So he. Lizard that lives on the screen outside my window on the back porch has been molting, and it's been quite beautiful. And he went through it in like 2 days. It was just like all of a sudden I was like, something's going on with her head, and then I was like, ooh, and then I was just like, and then like her skin just like came off, and she didn't peel it. She just like they're like a majestic beast, and it was just like, meh, it'll come off on its own, and it did, and it looks fabulous. So. My new self-help book.
Extreme exfoliation.
Be like Godfrey. Yeah. Exfoliate to the beauty within.
Shed your skin. Yeah.
Oh, and that is the other thing. My ghosts were like freaking active yesterday. The cat has like woken up, and so I don't know what's happening. This house is getting exciting, so I can't wait for you to come.
Yay.
Yay. How did you actually haunt your own house? Like, you took a non-haunted house, made it haunted.
Made it haunted. If anybody's house should be haunted, it probably should be mine between ours.
Oh, yeah. I mean, your house should definitely, but I don't think it is. I don't feel like it is.
No.
I don't know.
It's been renovated too many times. Not by me necessarily, but it's been renovated too many times.
Well, and maybe your puppies just keep away anything bad.
I don't know. Faith looks at some weird shit sometimes. Sometimes I'm like,
she also has a tumor.
Well, yeah. And she's
I mean, I'm pretty sure like her brain just goes doo, and she's not looking
it's just static. It's just static.
Or it's just like one little butterfly floating, and she just like look at the butterfly.
Yeah. the hamster on the wheel inside her little head just goes.
The hamster on the wheel just like took a nap. It was just like, I'll be back in a minute. Just like,
oh, goodness. Yeah.
So, seriously, there's not a lot going on in my world, but there's stuff going on in the world. Sighting news came out this week. One, Jeffrey Dean Morgan is joining the boys. So that is fucking great. We don't know what character he's going to be yet. There is speculation, but he also already photoshopped a picture of himself into the poster. It looks fantastic. So that's going to be super fun. Also, CW came out, like I swear this is not a CW podcast, but they just have a lot of good shit that's going to be happening this fall. All right. So on Tuesday night, we're going to have the Winchesters, right? So that's going to premiere October 11th. So we're like, a month and a half away from the starting again. There's already clips out with Jensen acting in it. And it's good. I think it's going to be really good. And then Thursday, like Walker, which will premiere on October 6th, is going to have Walker Independence coming out after that. And that's a prequel in the Texas West with a female lead about the history of the Walkers. And Mark Shepard is in it. And so I think it's going to, and obviously it's a Jared Padalecki project, but it looks really great. And I normally don't get excited about Westerns, but I'm interested to see how they do that one. So
see, I always say that, and then there's like some Westerns I just really like. Like I didn't get for a long, like, and I saw it as an adult, but like Lonesome Dove. I was like, ugh. Because my mom loved Westerns so much. So I just gave no fucks when I was a kid. Because, when your parents force you to watch things, you're like, blah. Except for musicals. I was on board with that. But when I finally got around to watching Lonesome Dove, I'm like, this is amazing. It's things like that. I don't know. No?
It's terrifying. It is like Lonesome Dove is terrifying. The ball of water moccasins has instituted you don't remember that?
No, I remember that. I'm just saying, like the show in general. It's just
every time I am in the river, I am convinced just like this ball of water moccasins come at my face.
Yeah, I don't like that part. I'm just saying in general.
Yeah,
but so like that, and then like some other.
Never again, never.
And there's some other movies like I don't know. I don't like everybody loves Tombstone. I know, blah blah blah. But like, I don't know. I just don't go out of my way.
Young Guns was great. Young Guns 2, the one with Drew Barrymore, that was Young Guns, the chick movie. Any movie where Matthew McConaughey puts on a cowboy hat. All
You're
great. They're all great.
I get it.
So
I'm excited about that. I hadn't heard about that. I'll have to go look at the preview. That sounds amazing. I'm excited. Yeah, because you also if y'all haven't noticed on our show, we also have a great love of Texas history.
We do.
Baby Texans.
So yeah.
Cool stuff.
It'll be interesting to see how they tie it into. I don't know, but the tie-ins for the Winchesters are so good. But there's some things in there that I'm like, damn it, like Diana, I don't know if you could start watching that show until you finish the show because
sure.
I think you're gonna have to like. I don't know how you'll be able to avoid it, but and the other thing that I saw that may kind of make you a little sad is that they're not going to bring Riverdale back until mid-season.
I just finished too.
Anyways, moving on.
Yeah,
Diana.
there we go. So here we go. Yeah. So I've been super fucking busy, and the busyness continues this week. I'm in like event like chaos social calendar mode. So yeah, just a couple real cool things just without giving you guys my fucking day planner. Last week we had fun going to Swizzle. It's a tiki lounge in Dallas, that bar that's super cool on Greenville Avenue, because our friends from High Rum, aka now Island Getaway Rum, were in town for Rum Month and did a special tasting. So had to go enjoy and support both my friends that run the tiki bar and Rum. Hey, and you get to go to a tiki bar and have drinks.
You sacrificed so much for your friends. You went all the way. It was
a deep sacrifice. I drove down the street
to a tiki bar, and then you had some tiki drinks.
It was a sacrifice.
Rough, man. Rough.
Yeah,
that's heart, man. Total heart.
And then last night went to a surprise last minute concert with Tripping Daisy. If you want to get your 90s alt rock flashback fix, it was a really, really, really fucking cool show, though, honestly. So we had a great time. But today I'm sleepy because I'm old, and that sucks. But that's okay. And I didn't even stay up that late or drink very much.
All right. So what are you drinking?
I am drinking some Gatavecchi red wine, which is just some Tuscan red wine.
You knew the name. I'm very excited.
Pay attention. I picked it. Open that one. We don't need to open the Costco one tonight, but don't open the expensive one either. Go with the Gatavecchi. Like you do. How about you? What are you drinking?
I got very excited because I was haunting through the wine rack looking for something that wasn't that expensive to drink, but then I found that somewhere in there I had an extra bottle of Signor's Pinot Noir, and it's so fucking good. And I didn't even chill it, like drinking it like a savage, like it's too warm, but I was too excited. I was like, oh, I haven't had this wine in so long, and it's so delicious, and grapey.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. So I did think about it. I was like, I should put aside this bottle and we'll drink it when Diana's here. And then I went, no. I want to drink it.
Oh.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, let's talk about Fallen Idols.
So Fallen Idols. So we are at season 5, episode 5. I always love the 5-5 or 4-4. This was first aired on October 8th, 2009. It was directed by James L. Conway. We last saw him in It's a Terrible Life, and was written by Julie Siege. It's a Great Pumpkin, Sam Winchester, Chris Angel is a douchebag, Oh God, I was saying that Chris Angel is a douchebag, and the monster at the end of this book. Actually, there is a new Chris Angel show that's going to be on CW, where I think like it's going to be a magic competition where like people get taught magic, and then like it's going to be like, I guess, like Master Chef but with magic.
Weird. I don't know,
Yeah.
because I like magic, but I don't know. Like, I always get excited with like on AGT when they've got magicians, especially when they're good ones, at least. But I don't know if I'm up for that. I don't know. We'll see.
Well,
We'll
I mean,
see.
I'm interested to see what personality Chris Angel goes with too, right? Like, is he gonna be a douchebag, or is he gonna be like, oh no, I'm just a cool Asian rocker?
And the personality of the contestants. That could be special.
That'd be pretty good.
Not making fun of you if you do magic. I'm just saying there is a type. Yeah. So here we go. Ready?
All right. Yeah. So let's jump into this.
Sure.
Insert program transition here.
So we've got two guys walking into a really freaking nice garage that had a very weird array of parts on the shelf, by the way. I was just like, it's a really bizarre, fancy, like specialty fancy steering wheel to just be sitting on a shelf randomly. Anyways, and they're talking about how one of them found it. They found the car, and it's a Porsche that says "Little Bastard." What? And one of the guys is surprising his friend with this to show him that he found this car. And I won't talk about how much he paid for it, just a lot. And they go to turn it on. And he's the one of them's like, hey, I want to document this. I'm going to go get the camera, because we didn't have camera phones around this time so much. Or at least not video camera phones that mattered.
No, we would have gotten like this really terrible, like little tiny pixelated thing that would have taken you like 2 days to upload, like from like through your phone, through like a USB. Yeah.
Yeah. So he goes to get the video camera, the one with the little flip out viewfinder. And the other guy gets in the car. Cal gets in the car. And while he's sitting in the car, we see that he sees his breath. So we all know some shit's about to go fucking down. Oh no. So the radio starts turning on, which is the other next bad sign. So it's like, son of a bitch. Saw his breath and the radio turned on. This is never a good sign. So the car turns on. So the guy getting the camera's like, hey, why is the car starting? I'm supposed to be coming in there videoing you. And then he hears tires squeal and a crash, which is very disturbing because the garage is closed.
Yes.
So he walks back to the garage, but he's watching just through the viewfinder. And they do this really cool, I thought, when he goes up to the car, except for when you see what happened to fucking Cal's head. Because Cal's face is embedded in the little racing windshield.
Yeah, my notes are like, through on? How do you describe like it?
That I had a problem with it too. I'm like, so his face is embedded in the racing windshield.
Yeah,
is the best
it's
way I can
in
describe
it. Like it's in the windshield.
It's not through because it's only
It's
part
not
way.
through. Like it's like face like guillotine.
But only halfway. But like in the wrong. Like they missed.
I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
You should.
So
watch
and then
the
they
episode.
do this bad, and then they do a badass shot of way too much blood running down the Little Bastard logo, which is really cool, right?
Such a beautiful shot. I loved it. Just like the graphics of it, like everything was just so solid. Like the way the blood was dripping and it was thick and like it was, but you could still see the Porsche emblem, and then you could see the Porsche logo, and then just the Little Bastard. So good. So but we cut from that to a standard baby driving down the road.
Like you do. And they're talking about a job. But I liked the comment. They had a head-on collision. Head-on. Anyways, in a parked car. I thought it was funny. I don't know if it was intentional, but I took it that way. Anyways, but the brothers are arguing like they do. Sam's like, why are we going to work a job when there's the fucking apocalypse happening? And Dean's like, I've been looking for the fucking Colt and can't find it, so we might as well do something because maybe things are happening in this town because of the apocalypse coming. Yeah. So, and then Sam's like, yeah, but we need to kill the devil. And Dean's like, no, we're gonna do this first. Sorry, we're supposed to be a team. We're doing it my way, which isn't very teamy. Just saying.
Well, sometimes you've got to be a leader and lead your team. But also, he does say that he wants a fresh start. And that sounds very sincere. But I also see Sam being like, sus. Because I also, just in my general relationships, would be like, sus. You're offering me something. I do not trust you. And I feel like I
You're
can
being
see
nice to me. How dare you? Is what
you're
Liz
being
says.
nice to me. This is exactly what Sam is saying. Like, you're being nice to me. I don't know if I trust this.
Right.
But I don't really have a choice. So we are just going to...
We're going to roll with it.
We're just going to roll. Okay.
So they get to Canton, Ohio. They introduce themselves as Agents Bonham, Zeppelin's drummer, and Copland, which is the police's drummer.
Copeland.
Sorry.
Copeland. Yeah, from a Supernatural standpoint, remember the last one he was using Express, or maybe that was 2 ago, but like he had switched to movies and like his like, but now like he's back with Sam, he's back to Rocky Laces.
Yeah.
Coincidence?
Interesting.
I don't think so.
Interesting. So they've got Sheriff Carnegie, who is probably not the most renowned investigator of his town.
I also kind of love him.
Yeah.
Like he's trying so hard. He just tries so hard.
He is. And he's, and a lot of times, the simplest answer is the right answer a lot of the time. Not this time. But anyways, not with no evidence either. Like, okay. So anyways, he's like, yeah, we already booked the guy who killed Cal. It's his buddy Jim because, he the sicko taped his own handiwork. And they're like, so how did he create an 80-mile-an-hour head-on crash? And he's like, well, it's, it doesn't matter. It's too simple. So our brothers decide to go talk to Jim themselves. And
also they're like, well, how did his head get through the windshield? He's like, I don't know, drugs. And it's just like, I love just like, yes, like if I was this police officer, it's like, nope, PCP, that is what happened here. I don't want to, because what are you going to, like, he's just like, you have to make sense of why this man's head, and like, gangs. Danny Trejo. Just like that was like something, But anyways, okay. So the boys decide that they're like, well, can we talk to him anyways? Just for shits and giggles.
Yeah, and he's like, you believe me that I actually didn't do this? I didn't even see it happen. And he tells them what he had heard, and then he's like, it's the car because the car is cursed. And then Dean recognizes the car as James Dean's little car, the little bastard. Ooh.
And I think he gets excited. Every time I watch this episode, I also am like, this little bastard. I love the story so much. Okay, go on.
So they go to the garage. They're going to go see the car. And Sam's like, man, it's like Christine. And Dean gets offended. He's upset. But basically, he goes into a little bit of he's like, death follows this car, and then it vanished in 1970. But Cal searched for it. Both these guys Cal and Jim have been searching for it. He matched the VIN. So now I need to match the engine number, which means I need to put it up on jack stands, wobbly ass jack stands for the record, and get on a garage crawler and go underneath it.
Yeah. And so Dean did start to give the lore of Little Bastard, and I think we need to really break it down a little bit more so we can see why he's so afraid to be underneath this wobbly car. And he said some basic things. So let's go into some lore.
Okay.
And let's compare what Dean said to what is sort of known, because there's a lot of legend surrounding this. All right. What Dean said was, after James Dean died, his mechanic bought the wreckage, he fixed it up, and repaid him by falling on him. And Tony McHenry was killed and was locked up on the racetrack. Then in 1970, it vanished off the back of a truck, and nobody's ever seen it since. That's Dean's side. And actually, most of that is kind of true, but there's a little bit more to this. All right, so this is the lore of Little Bastard. Dun, dun, dun.
Ooh.
All right, so Mr. Handsome Man, James Dean, was 24, and he was already famous for Rebel Without a Cause and East of Eden, and he had already had a Porsche. He had the 356 Spider, but he upgraded it to the 550, and this was an ultra luxury Porsche. They only made 90 units. It was silver, had 2 doors, and it was damn fast. So he had his friend George Barris, aka the man who created the Munster coach and the Dragula casket dragster for the Munsters, like the best TV cars that were ever made. Trademark Lizzie, I swear they are. They're the best cars ever made.
Barris made beautiful custom cars. Absolutely.
Yeah, just
he's a fave.
Yeah, and he made many things besides the Munsters ones, but those are just my favorite things. So he had him customize it. He had him put in tartan seats, put the 2 red stripes over the rear wheels, and put the number 130 on the doors, hood, and engine cover. I did not see where the 130 came from. I'm sure you could dig it and find it, but I didn't see it in any of the things I looked at. He had the master pinstriper, Dean Jeffries, put the little bastard on it after his friend Bill Hickman gave it that name. Also,
and for the record, this would have been in an era where it was hand painted on and it wasn't a fucking vinyl decal.
It was not a wrap. This was not a wrap. This was hand. It was fucking gorgeous. Also, tied to this legend, did Obi-Wan curse little bastard? So he might have. All right. So on October 23rd, 1955, Alec Guinness, aka Obi-Wan Kenobi, met Dean, and I said I have Dean, but he met James Dean, not our Dean. And when looking at the spider, he looked at it and he said, "Ugh, it looks sinister. If you get in that car, you'll be found dead in the next week." And he was dead in 7 days. So
that's dark.
It was a bad.
That's a weird thing to say to somebody about their car, right?
Who says that? Like, you're gonna die in that.
Yeah, that's not a very nice thing to say.
7 days after he meets Alec Guinness, this is how it happens. He was going to the races in Salinas, California, and originally they were going to trailer the car, but James decided that he wanted to drive it because he wanted to get used to it before he went racing in it, which makes total sense. And his mechanic friend Rolf oh man, it's an umlaut. Wertherich. It's German. Rolf Wertherich. Jawohl. All right. So he's riding shotgun with him. And so the same friend, Bill Hickman, who named Little Bastard, who was a stunt driver, and a photographer named Sanford Roth were following behind in their station wagon. So we got a station wagon in here. So on the way down there, James Dean did get a ticket, and he got a ticket going 65 and a 55. So it's really not that insane. Everyone's like, "Oh, he was speeding." I'm like, he was going 10 miles over the speed limit, and I'm sure the cop was like, "I see a silver Porsche."
Right.
Yeah. So he give them a ticket and they go on their way, and they stop for a drink like you do on a long drive, and I'm sure it was lovely. They're like, "Oh, let's stop here and have a cocktail." So then they get back in the car, and then so James starts driving a little faster, and eventually he loses their friends behind them. He just takes off. And so as he's going down Route 466, which is now Route 46, he got to where that met Route 41. And at the same time, a 23-year-old college student named Donald Turnip Speed. The guy's name was Turnip Speed. And not like UPSEED, Turn Up Seed. But it also says Turnip Seed and Turn Ups. Yeah, it's a weird name to... Anyways, he didn't die. That guy didn't die in the crash. I don't feel that bad. But basically they just did a head-on collision because it was just... So Turnip Seed was in a 1950 Ford Tudor, and his car just kind of like went down the road, but the Spider went up in the air and cartwheeled down the highway. And so Rolf was thrown out. So that actually saved his life because James was stuck underneath there, like his foot was stuck under between the clutch and the gas pedal, and that was broken. His jaw was fractured, his neck and arms were broken, and then he had massive internal and external injuries. Hickman showed up in the station wagon, like behind, and dragged him out of the car. And then, according to him, he died in his arms. But the other two survived. But this is not the end of Little Bastard. So this is where we get into the curse, right? So theoretically, the story goes that George bought it for $2,500. And he sold the chassis and the engine to two racers, William Estrich and Troy McHenry. So that was one of the guys, although Dean said Tony. So Estrich used the parts for his Lotus 4, and he and McHenry were in the same race. So Estrich's Lotus gets into a minor wreck, and he's fine. He has some injuries, but nothing great. But the other one wrapped his car around the tree and died.
Ooh.
So George has pretty much just like the body and just kind of the frame and stuff, and he had originally planned to rebuild it, but the frame was just too far gone. So first, he gets it does slip off the trailer and it breaks his leg. Then he's kind of he's selling off parts of this, and he sold off two of the tires, and the person who had those tires, they blew and that car went off the road. I don't think they died, but also you just sold them tires that were in a wreck.
Yeah, that sounds right. They might have gotten overheated. That's not real.
You don't take, especially that car that was, no, I wouldn't have taken. Fucking curse. I just wouldn't have taken those tires. So he ends up making it into this kind of exhibit. He just welds it to pieces and puts sheet metal on it, and becomes this exhibit of this is what speed can do to you. Not math, speed. Yeah. And in 1956, don't speed, end up like James Dean's car. And so it was displayed as James Dean's last sports car. So in 1959, though, it was in a garage in Fresno, and it caught fire. And two of the tires burned, and the paint was scorched, but there was no other damage. Nothing else in the garage is on fire but the car. Once it was being transported, and the truck carrying it lost control. And I don't know if I believe this, because it somehow made the driver fall out, and he got crushed by the car falling off its back.
That's a lot. There's some physics involved there.
Unless Fast and the Furious shit is happening, and you're getting up in the bat to battle Vin Diesel while it's going. I don't understand how that happened. So but in 1960, though, it does disappear. So not 1970, 1960 disappears. A lot of people think that Barris just was over it. It was this isn't making me any money, and it's a pain in the ass. And so he just put it away. But really, the legend lives on because nobody knows where it is. And so there's been unsolved mysteries and all sorts of things of America's Most Wanted type shit, whatever, over the years, talking about the legend and where it is. So in 2015, a man contacted the Volo Auto Museum, who had put out $1 million reward for the car on the anniversary of its disappearance. It was the 50th year or something.
Wow. And
this guy calls a year later, and he's like, hey, when I was 6, I went with my dad and another man as they hid behind a wall in a building in Whatcom County, Washington. So it's Whatcom, or .com, but he wouldn't say where it was without getting paid. And the museum was we're only paying to own this car. We're not negotiating. We're not paying.
This isn't for hot tips. This is for the car.
So they never paid and never went through. So still don't know. Is it in Washington? But there's one final thing, one final piece. On May 29th, 2021, a man paid $382,000 for the transaxle for Little Bastard. Ooh. And he bought it to put it on display in a Las Vegas museum. And you know who it was? Yeah, it was fucking Zach Bagans.
How did we got back to him? Good Lord.
Always comes back to fucking Zach Bagans.
That is hilarious, kind of.
Yeah, so, but where the fuck is Little Bastard? How do we not know? How has somebody kept it the secret this long? Was it sold just sold off, scrapped in a junkyard?
It could have been. Seems like a waste, though. People sit on that kind of stuff. You never know.
Yeah, but I also, and I'm sure there are horror movies about this, but I do want there to be a horror movie about somebody finding that and then being like, I'm going to rebuild Little Bastard. And then it kills them.
And they slowly turn into like, start acting like James Dean, and then they die. Don't steal my story.
You're tearing me apart! So this is why Dean is so scared, right? And he like does this
pep talk.
Before he does it, like Sam is just like, "What? I don't get it." And Dean's just, "Girl, I'm gonna treat you right.
Oh my gosh.
Just let me underneath you, girl." And you know, he's just got some Barry White playing. He is like, "All right, I'm just gonna slide up underneath you. Just go."
I will say, I mean, I do appreciate that he has one spotter when he goes under the car, because we'd have that rule in our household. I think I've told you. So we can't both be under the car at the same time, because if the car falls on somebody, one of us has to be able to call 911 still.
No, I think that is a very good rule.
Yeah. And if you're gonna,
and just in general, I would probably be afraid of being under a car that old.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really like, it's just honestly, the Porsche, other than it's bad, the Little Bastard doesn't scare me as much with its bad juju even as Duchess, because Duchess is really fucking heavy and she rides real fucking low.
That is true. I was also like, every time I see this, like, I forget, like, is Sam gonna try and just lift this car up? Because I bet he could. I'm
At
pretty
least together
sure that
they
he
could
lift
like,
a Porsche Spider.
They could partially lift this car together, yeah. So
I just picture like that guy being rich enough that he would have had some sort of like hydraulic jack or something in there, a lift in there.
Like, you got this big ass fancy fucking garage and you don't have a lift. Like, motherfucker, if my garage was a touch larger, I would have a lift. Are you kidding me? And my garage is not that big and fancy. Anyways, so
is that where the engine number would be? I have no idea.
I mean, you're gonna have like numbers, matching numbers on the car in multiple locations. I don't know on a Porsche where that would be. A lot of stuff like that you can see from like under the hood, but in a Porsche, that's
like who would design an engine part that you could only see from underneath?
Oh,
that seems
Cadillac
like
and Porsche would absolutely do that, because they do not want anything to be easy on your vehicle. I say that as a deep Cadillac lover. It is. Where is the most awkward place to put this information or this fucking device? We're gonna put it somewhere you can't get to it. That's for damn sure. Luxury car makers, though, they don't think about somebody working on their car. So like Porsche would fall in that category.
Well, because they assume that you will pay somebody to do that.
Or if it's like a race car, like a Porsche being a race car, it's going to be worked on by a race car builder, and they're going to have a lift and tools and things.
They're going to have a lift.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, that's awesome. A good story. And you get a good George Barris reference, which I'm never mad at. All right. So Sam goes to do more research to figure out who's owned this car. Dean goes to the bar. Sounds right.
Seems fair.
Sam calls Dean and has figured out that this is not a...
Before Sam calls Dean does something very gross. The bartender tells him that she wants to be an actress.
Skip that because it's gross.
No, we need to call that out because it's gross. Like, he needs to be slapped for being gross. So the girl says that she's an actress. Also, honey, like, why are you an actress? And this is not you. What do you want to be an influencer in 2008? This is not the place for you to be. And he tells her that he's an agent for the William Morris agency, and then even pulls out a business card and gives it
William
to
Morris Endeavors is the agency name.
Yeah, girls, pro tip: if a man immediately hands you a business card after what he's saying he does, he don't work there. That's just he's lying to you, and this is disgusting and ew. All right, so moving on now.
I do believe that Jensen Ackles is with William Morris, which is that's my one aside though. It appears to be the case, or he was at some point. Anyways, it's a big entertainment agency, so it wouldn't be terribly shocking. Anyways, so they figured out that Sam calls him and has figured out that this is a fake little bastard. It's a fake little bastard. This was funny to say. Yeah. What? Who? So what killed Cal? Because they were so sure that it was tied to this haunted, cursed car, but it's not. So we cut to a man working in a university setting, it appears, of some kind, or a study of some sort. They don't really get in depth with that, but it's Mr. Hill.
University setting makes sense because he's a professor, I think, right?
That's what it looked like.
I feel like he's like a historian or
he was a historian of some kind. We find out later on, But Consuela tells him she's leaving. And so she leaves. And then, of course, he sees his goddamn breath. So we know something's going to fucking happen. And then we can tell he sees something, but we don't really know what. And except for they cut to it, and it's fucking Abraham Lincoln.
It's fucking Abraham Lincoln, and he's so funny. Like, he's just like, grr, he's all snarly.
He is a mad Abe.
It's so hilarious. I just, oh man,
Abe is pissed. And then we get.
It also just looks like he wants to eat him. He's just like, nah.
And then we cut away and we get some good blood splatter with a gunshot.
And also, like, so later, it's the gunshot. They also got the way they made it look. It was almost like he popped its head.
It definitely looked like that at the time. I absolutely thought the same thing. That's exactly what I was like. He just squeezed that guy's head until it exploded.
But he didn't.
It was a gunshot. And now we have got our brothers arriving at the scene of this new death, and good old Sheriff Carnegie's there with his quote. Evidence is here, just need to find it.
He wants the evidence so bad. He just has to be like, something must be here. And I can just picture like that day on your job where you're just like, you're losing it. You're just like, nope. This is gonna be fine. This is gonna be fine.
It's gonna be fine.
And yep. And so, the boys are there, and he is just like, I from a gunshot wound to the head, and there must be a reasonable explanation.
There's no gun and no bullet. And so he starts talking about how he thinks it could be an assassination. Now it's time to go question Consuela in Espanol, because Sam can speak a little bit of Spanish. And she is describing the muy alto man that she saw in the window, and describes in Spanish his sombrero.
Yeah, but did you hear what she said to the first cop? It's actually really funny. So if you translate it, she is just like, I can't live here. I need my family. I'm leaving now. I'm going home. Yeah. No, I'm going home to El Salvador. She's just like, nope. Can't be here. I'm going to my family, and nope. I'm going to my family in El Salvador.
I missed the El Salvador part. Yeah, no, her like, I just want to go home. But yeah, so finally she's like, oh yeah, sombrero muy alto, el presidente Lincoln.
Yeah, so she's just like, yep, see, Abraham Lincoln killed Mr. Hill.
Killed my boss. What the fuck? That'd be upsetting.
But then she's also like, can I go home now? And yes, Consuela, you can go home now. You've had a day. Girl, go put your feet up and try and forget that you just saw Abraham Lincoln kill Mr. Hill.
Yeah, that'd be upsetting. So our brothers are at the Night Owl Motel with a very cute sign. And they're doing research. And Dean says, whoa, because he does a freeze frame from Jim's video of Cal in the car, and it looks like James Dean is in the room. So they're talking about there's a joke about Sam says something about famous ghosts, and Dean's comments just silly.
No, Sam says famous ghosts ganking their fans. We've got a couple of ganks in here.
We do. Yeah, we do. But I just think that's just silly.
Yeah, and that was just silly. And he thinks it's Muchos Locos. And Sam pulls the little brother annoying, what Liz would also probably do. It's Mooey. It's not Mucho. It's Mooey.
Corrections. So, but Sam's like, yeah, no, it's actually, we're surprised we haven't run into him before. It's ghost, like, it's, we've got a Civil War fanatic, so the Abraham Lincoln, you got James Dean fans, that. So it maybe ghosts are just killing their fans, but they don't really know why it's happening here. So they decide they need to go check out the fucking wax museum.
On a side note, so there was a girl who was in a wax museum, I guess in Vancouver, wherever they filmed the actual wax museum. And she was like there with their family, and she was like, oh my God. And there was a sign. It was closed for taping of Supernatural. And can you imagine like being on a trip with your family and just being like closed for Supernatural taping, and you just be like, and then you're like, we're not going anywhere. We stay here. We live in this wax museum now.
Not leaving. So yeah.
Do you like wax museums?
My big confession is I've never actually been into like a full wax museum. I don't like, other than like the spectacle, I don't really see the appeal.
San Antonio had the Ripley's,
Yeah,
and I think I've been to the one in New Orleans a long time ago, like when I was a child. But
yeah, I don't think I know of Ripley's. I've driven past it like a million times probably in my life. There's one in Grand Prairie.
No, in general, and I think people probably think they're creepy for the same reason we think dolls are creepy, because your brain can't make, like, your brain is making can't make the connection
Like
because it's
human
recognizing
versus
like a
not.
human face, but it's not a human face, so that just inevitably creeps you the fuck out. And also, like, I were like them,
Dead eyes.
I would just always just waiting for them to move, just being like, are you moving now? Are you moving now?
Yeah. Are you
But I mean,
haunted?
but I think they're also fantastic works of art, you know, like to
Some,
make.
yeah. No, it's impressive.
Some of them are really, also the ones that are really bad are fantastic too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't know. It's just not something I've done. I'm not like opposed, but I'm not necessarily excited either. If that makes sense. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway, so Gandhi's very short.
He's very short, and then there's a bunch of other wax figures of presidents outside, but there is an Abraham Lincoln one there as well. And the guy that runs the museum runs in talking about how it's his busiest time of year, but there's no one there, and it's 4:30.
I also feel for this guy.
Yeah, he's
like,
so
you're
nerdy.
just trying to keep your shitty wax museum open.
Yeah.
And
so
they
lie and say they're with a travel magazine, and they're trying to talk about how not sucky wax museums are. And he explains that they have their regulars that come and see President Lincoln, and James Dean, and that Cal and Jim were some of the regulars, and how tragic that is.
You shouldn't be a regular to a wax museum, though.
No. That is inexcusable.
Right. That's not right.
And
you don't want to watch this. Like, did you go to the wax museum more than twice in a 6-year period? Maybe if it's a small town and there's nothing else to do, and like, that's where you take your like family when they come to visit, and you're like, fuck, I guess I gotta go to the wax museum again. Like, maybe that, but like over 2 times, I say direct on like federal watch list.
So they're asking. So we gotta find out why this wax museum is fucking special if this shit's going down. And he's like, yeah, I've got Honest Abe's real hat, James Dean's keychain, Gandhi's bifocals, FDR's iron lung, and he's wearing.
Big. That's very large.
That is, and very weird that that's a thing that they would have, because yeah, like they have, like, you could see the FDR one in the background and you don't see the iron lung, which I thought was like a weird pick for them to say.
Yeah, that takes up a whole room.
Yeah, those are large. Very large. But he's wearing the Fonz's jacket, and he's doing a lot of thumbs. I always want to go to finger guns, but it's more just the thumbs up on the Fonz. But anyways, so he's working on his collection for the kids, aka Gen Y, because he thinks computer games, phones, and sexting are just fads, and he's gonna make wax museums hip again.
Bless him. Bless his little heart. Like, he's just trying. He's like, well, I will do anything, and I'm gonna have some things for that. But
yeah.
Then we get to go to our girl Trunk. She's there.
Yay.
She's all. And Sam is loading shotguns in the trunk. Why aren't you doing that inside? Whatever. Okay.
It's a very odd choice. So,
it's very awkward because he's like trying to not be seen as he's like putting shells into the shotgun. I'm like, the easiest way to not be seen would just be to take those inside. And was he like, this is just easier than like me having put them in a bag? And he was like, whatever, just do it here.
I don't know.
It
was a weird choice.
Do it right there. And so, yeah.
But it made perfect timing for him to walk up and eavesdrop on Dean, talking on the phone to Bobby, talking about the apocalypse, and these ghosts could be occurring. These famous ghosts could be occurring in Canton because of the impending apocalypse. And quote, we all know whose fault that is.
And then, I'm sorry, but it's true. And, oops.
But Sam overhears and he's real sad about it.
Yeah, he should be. That's a shitty thing to, like, and it's also worse if you think somebody, like, is talking about you or has shit against you, and, like, they've been playing it off, and then you walk in, and you're like, motherfucker, Like,
I knew it.
I knew. I gave you that look earlier. I said it was sus, and now I know. And then, like,
It was
Dean's
sus.
just, and also Dean does exactly what I would do and be like, what? Wasn't me. Shaggy defense all the way. And Sam's just like, like, we need to talk about this. It's not a fresh start.
Mm-mm. And Dean's like, yeah, whatevs. I'm going to go now.
No, well, Dean's also like, it's as fresh as it gets, which I think was a Mentos commercial.
Fresh maker.
Fresh maker. Yeah. We're going to go to the museum and
Back to the museum.
Back to the museum where Dean is just like, nothing's wrong.
Nothing's wrong. I'm going to play with the Abraham Lincoln hat.
Well, so would you. I mean, so would I. Like,
I mean,
you're alone in the wax museum.
Yeah,
how are
not
you
fuck with
not
shit.
putting all this shit on?
But Sam's like, no, we just need to burn the shit and get the fuck out. And Dean's like, fine, I'm going to go get the keychain. And so now Sam is alone in the wax museum, which is creepy. Also, this is a really weird setup with a bunch of presidents and Gandhi. What the fuck sense does this make in this room?
John Wayne. John Wayne was also
there's
there.
a John Wayne too.
Yeah.
But what's in the other rooms if that's what's in this room? Like, they never showed a James Dean one. Like, it's just very odd mixture.
I'm sure, like, James Dean's with, like, Marilyn. Like...
But then the freaking John Wayne one would make more sense with that too, just because then you'd have like actors. Anyways,
this is why nobody is going to this wax museum and it's closed.
Because it's disorganized.
We need to go and you need a different museum layout. Like we need to go through a whole social media campaign for you. We need to get this back up on track. And I don't know if Paris Hilton's going to do it for you. Also, the fact that when you're alone in there and it's getting all creeped out, the door slams shut on you.
Yeah, that's upsetting. And then Gandhi attacks you.
After you have a stare down with Abe Lincoln.
Which was creepy.
It was creepy, but also, like, I would just be staring at it going, its eyes moved. I know its eyes moved. And, like, its eyes wouldn't have moved, but
if I thought its eyes were moving, I wouldn't be getting that goddamn close to it. I'd be backing up instead of getting closer.
Yeah. So, yeah, Gandhi just attacks. Ah!
So what's interesting is he gets attacked by Gandhi, but it's not the wax figure of Gandhi, because the wax figure of Gandhi is still sitting there. He's attacked by a Gandhi ghost Gandhi. Anyways, so I thought that was an interesting observation. It's not the wax figure coming to life. It is the wax figure creates the personification of a ghost of that thing.
Yes. And he is a very squirrely Gandhi.
Little spider monkey. Little spider monkey also, Gandhi.
Like, don't rule out like the people who are short. Like, we wily. Like, we'll jump on your back. What do you do if someone spider monkeys your ass? Like, you don't know.
Mm-hmm. No. So as Sam's getting his ass kicked by Gandhi, Dean busts in and gets the glasses off of the wax figure and sets him on fire. So Ghost Gandhi disappears. And
he disappears in a way, though, that
very weird.
Is not the normal.
He's just gone.
Burning.
No, he's just gone. Just gone. So we go back to the motel and we're like, all right. Dean's like, oh, we're done now. Bye. Let's go pack up. Chop, chop. And Sam's like, I don't think we're done here. Ghost Gandhi didn't disappear in the way that ghosts are supposed to. Dean's like, yeah, whatevs. So he's like, the ghost Gandhi tried to like bite me like it was hungry. This was weird. But the real Gandhi was a fruitarian.
And Dean just thinks this is hilarious. Fruitarians are fucking silly. I am not going to apologize if you're a fruitarian. No,
it's silly. It's silly.
I have been a vegetarian and I have been a vegan. I have never been a fruitarian. That is silly. But Dean just at this point, he's just like, I don't want to listen to you. Like, I'm the boss. I'm boss man. We do what we say here.
Yeah. And Sam's like, yeah, but that's not how this is going to go. This isn't working. I'm not doing some double secret probation bullshit. I'm, trying to crawl out of a hole, but at some point, this is a two-way street. And things weren't working before, obviously, either. And why do you think I ran off with Ruby to get away?
What?
Anyways, because it made him feel strong and not like the little brother.
Yeah, but basically, I also appreciate that Sam is finally addressing his feelings like a grown-up. And he's just like, dude,
somebody on this show is.
Somebody is. And he's just like, stop being such a bossy pants. Like, you can't be a dictator over this, and you have to let me grow up.
Yeah.
Like,
and Dean is just like incredulous at this whole outburst, and that Sam had
I'm the best big brother. What?
Yeah. And Sam's like, I just want to do things differently, and you've got to let me grow up. And then the phone rings. So things are not done in Canton.
No, and it's our poor sheriff. It's our poor sheriff.
Yeah. He's got 2 blonde girls crying, and they're saying it was horrible. They thought she'd be so nice. And Paris Hilton took their friend. She was scary because she was so skinny and fast.
No, but she wasn't scary because she was skinny. They just said she looked really good. Like, she was really good. She looked skinny and fast.
Yeah. But now everything's confused because Paris Hilton is not dead. So they've missed something. The brothers have.
They also contemplate the chance that Paris Hilton is a homicidal maniac.
So,
I mean, especially at this time of Paris Hilton's life, maybe. I don't know, it could have happened.
Who knows? So we cut to Sam down in the morgue now, and he's digging into the bodies of all these victims. So we've got, I say all these victims, and we have 2 victims so far, and plus a missing girl. And he finds like small rock bean looking thing inside of them. Weird. Gross.
Yep, just pulls out this. Yeah, and first I was like, at first I forgot what they were. I was like, what are these fucking stones? I don't know. So what the hell? He's like, what the hell?
That's where my head went. I went straight Harry Potter on this shit.
So
That's where I went. I was like,
I can see that one. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but he Superman's out of his scrubs. Also, he looks pretty good in scrubs. I'm gonna stop. All right. So he's back in his suit, and he meets up with Dean. And Dean, he was like, "I can't believe I missed it. I can't believe I missed it. What did you miss, Sam? What the fuck are these?
Something totally fucking obscure seed. That's how could I have missed this thing that nobody fucking knows about?
The victims have, besides having horticulture going on in their stomachs, they're also missing a lot of blood, like something has been feeding.
Yes. So a lot of blood missing, and then it's a seed from Eastern Europe, specifically a Balkan forest that was guarded by a pagan god named Leshi. And that can take infinite forms and munches on its fan.
And I really love the drawing, and I'll make sure you get the copy of this data, but like the drawing of it is this, like, it says Leshi, Leshii, and it has this guy he's got like a little head, like he's hanging it down, and he's just like, ah! And there's people dancing. So we are gonna go into some quick mini lore. Mini, that's what Dave's gonna say, probably. I don't know. So during this time, Dean wonders, if it can just morph into the personification of somebody by touching their object. And Sam's like, that's whatever. That sounds fine. I'm not going to go into it. And he's like, oh, but I can kill it you can chop off its head with an iron axe. Yeah. So Leshi. There are various spellings of the name, but typically it's Leshi or Y or with a J. The plural is Leshiye. I'm Slavic, I guess, and I don't know how to say anything in that. So this comes with Slavic mythology. So I'm like, yay! I know this is part of somewhere my ancestors were talking about the Leshi, and that always makes me happy. So it was a demon god, or more often a tree spirit. And it was there to defend the forest and all the forest creatures.
Right.
There used to be cult sites that were dedicated to them in forests. And he's just a rascal. Some would even say a trickster. Ooh. He likes to get people lost in the woods and will steal signposts. So I guess in the Bavarian forest or the Balkan forest, wherever the fuck he is. Like there'd be a sign being like, home that way, and he would just take it. So people would just be just spin it the other way. Like he's like Bugs Bunny. Yeah, just like it's that way. So also he would just call out to people in the woods, like mimicking a human voice, or he would whistle, and then he would trap them in a cave, and he will tickle them to death.
That's absurd.
That's absurd.
That's just absurd.
Death by tickling.
I'd be so mad. I'd be so mad.
This is Diana. She died by tickling.
I'd be so fucking mad.
Yeah. So their attitude, though, does depend on the time of the year. So they get seasonal depression disorder, or like bears, they like to hibernate in the winter. But come spring, they wake up and they go crazy. They have the Rumspringa, and tribes of them just rampage through the forests. And if they find a woman, they're horny and they don't ask for consent.
Yeah. So they're rapey. Okay, noted.
They're a little rapey. Yeah, yeah. But by summer, though, they chill out and they're just kind of fine. They get more easily annoyed in the fall because it's getting close to their bedtime. So, like, kind of don't want to fuck with them in the fall. Overall, though, they're pretty nice to humans. They form packs with farmers to protect their livestock and crops. And in summer, sometimes they just drop into a tavern and drink a bucket of vodka, like you do. Then they peace out with their wolves.
Sounds like my early 20s.
Like my early 20s. Like, I actually never drank a bucket. Vodka was never my thing. But so they drink a bucket of vodka and peace out with their wolves back to the forest. Also, they have families. Usually the wife is a woman who just got obsessed with them and moved in with them, and they have kids, but although those are usually human kids that got lost in the woods.
Kidnapped is what you're saying.
They wandered away from their home, and then they became a part of a new family of Leshies.
That's real weird.
Yeah. But if you are unfortunate, if you meet one in like the fall and they're in a bad mood or just something's going on, you can appease them just by making them laugh. And so if you make them laugh, it'll generally be good. They are particularly amused by people who wear their clothing backwards. So
crisscross was
golden. Nothing to worry about from the Leshi. Also, if you put your shoes on the wrong feet, that also works. But do you really want to hike through the woods where you're already getting blisters and now you have your shoes on your wrong feet? If that doesn't work, you can always alternatively say prayers while cursing them. So, please, God of the forest, save me. Fuck you, Leshi. Please, God of the forest, save me. Fuck you, Leshi. That should work.
It's very confusing messaging, though.
It is. Or if that you don't do that, there is always, you could put salt in a fire, because always salt. That's a Leshi.
So they might rape you, or you can just go live with them. They might kill you, or they might adopt you. It just really depends on their mood at that moment.
Yeah, and time of year. So, but also, like, I want to go to the forest in the fall. That sounds really pretty, but that's when they're very irritated. So just, wear your shirt backwards.
So that's probably helpful for them because they can feed a lot more because people are fucking going and wandering in the woods because it's lovely.
Well, and frankly, like, my clothes are on backwards half the time anyways, because that's just me. And I'm just like, wait, like, why is this? I had leggings on backwards the other day, and it was in the Pilates studio, being like, why are these pants? Oh, they're falling down because they're backwards. Put on leggings backwards and did an entire class of them.
There's something real awkward written across your lower abdomen instead of your ass then. Just kidding. Anyways. All right. So, yeah. So we have Dean's line of, let's go gank ourselves a Paris Hilton. So back to the wax museum after hours. So apparently, like, this guy that runs this wax museum also, in addition to being wildly disorganized and very misguided about the youth of today, he also has terrible security because they just waltz in this place over and over again. But
I'm picturing it. Yeah, I'm also though picturing like small town, like Fredericksburg, like probably, and now most of them probably have security systems, but I bet you 2008 you could walk into any
blocks.
small town. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's still very fucking creepy at night.
Fuck yeah, it is. I'm putting on the record, I'm not going to a wax museum at night. Anyways, so we find a section of the wax museum that is closed for renovation. And at first I'm like, oh, is this like a plantation setup? Are we going Gone with the Wind? What is happening here in this scene?
Not appropriate.
Is that what it looked like to you?
It looks like a bedtime story.
Okay.
So I don't know, but so it's a forest type thing, right?
But with like a big white house with columns. Anyways,
yeah. So maybe
I thought it was Gone with the Wind. That's where my mind went.
Okay.
But anyways, so they go in, and the young lady that was stolen from her friends is tied to a tree. She's alive, but barely. And then the axe flies out of Dean's hand. No, because he needs that to chop off Leshy's head. And then he gets
And
his
who
ass kicked
caused
by
it?
Paris Hilton. He gets his fucking ass kicked by the fucking Paris Hilton.
What? It's
Pretty
not a
fucking
Paris
rad.
Hilton lookalike. It's fucking Paris
Actually,
Hilton.
fucking Paris Hilton. So yeah, she's kicking Dean's ass, and Sam jumps in and she throws him across the way. So I would usually save it for the end, but let's go ahead and do some casting here because we've got a few fun notes. So
casting couch. It's the casting couch. Were they on that show that time with that guy? La 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 la.
So we've got Paris Hilton, and if you don't know who she is, you live under a rock. Just saying.
Well, I do, and there are some reasons maybe, but I would say like this generation may not know Paris Hilton as much as we knew Paris Hilton.
Yeah, she's back in like television, and she's on all like a lot of the she's in commercials for Hilton hotels. She played herself in Zoolander in a series called, I'm not doing this in any chronological order, but she plays herself she has a cameo in Zoolander. She has Paris Hilton, My New BFF. She was on The Simple Life was her show, which she was also the producer of. She was also been in a lot of things. She's made cameos in a lot of television shows, but not like a billion. Like it seems like it's very selective, but also it's hard when you're a pretty known person. But a few key films: she was Amber in Raising Helen. She was Victoria in Pledge This. She is Christabel in The Hottie and the Naughty. But some key ones that I want to share: she had an uncredited appearance as a passenger in Snakes on a Plane. Plus, she was Paige in House of Wax, which we get a reference to in this scene. And
why do we get a reference to it in the scene?
Huh? Oh,
because you understand why? Because Jared Padalecki was in House of Wax.
Yes, I saw it too. Yeah,
and so that's also part of the reason that she's in this show. But go on.
And she was also played Amber Sweet in Repo, a genetic opera, which I actually really like. It's a really weird film.
And why? Do you know why? Also, you know why I like it.
Why?
Because Anthony Stewart Head is the main male castinger, so aka Giles from Buffy.
Yes. Yeah, and you get some. It's just I just blanked on her name, but it's Sarah Brightman is in it. Is not her name? Yeah, the singer, and it's a really bizarre, cool, freaking like B film.
So good.
But it's like dystopian B film. Anyways, it's really cool.
We watched that. Damn. Yeah. All right.
I think I just got rid of that DVD, or I still have it. Anyways, so I'll go ahead and hit a couple other key points in the cast. So, good old Sheriff Carnegie is played by Daryl Shuttleworth. He's once again had a lot of parts in a lot of different things, but he was Earl in the Fargo series, and he plays John's father in The Watchmen. So there we go. Jim Grossman, who was accused of murdering his friend Cal, is played by Paul McGillen. He was in, let me see. Dr. Carson Bennett in the Stargate Atlantis series. He had a bit part as the barracks leader in the Star Trek movie in 2009. He was in an episode of V, but I just mentioned that because I like that show. He played Pete Rowling in Magic Beyond the J.K. Rowling story. So okay, interesting. He also
was
plays
that like
Earl
her
Cox.
husband or son or
I'd have
Pete
to double
Rowling?
check. I'm guessing it was a flashback to a different family figure. So he was in An English Teacher in Tomorrowland. He played Earl Cox in the Flash series, and he was the Knave of Hearts in Once Upon a Time. Our Wax Museum owner is Robert Clark. You could recognize him as a butler in Codename The Cleaner, if you're really into those silly movies. He was one of the zealots in The Sixth Day, and Principal Poindexter Short in Reefer Madness, the musical in 2005. We've also got Professor William Hall is played by Bruce Harwood. He played John Fitzgerald Byers in The X-Files. And when I say that, I mean like ongoing major character in all of the X-Files and the movies and the video games. So, and then he was also Willis in the original MacGyver. So then we've got Paris Hilton fan number 1 is Emily Tennant. She was in one episode of Riverdale, but she actually does a shit ton of voice work, like My Little Pony, Polly Pocket, and some other stuff. She was also had bit parts in Jennifer's Body, John Tucker Must Die, and iRobot, and she was Krista in Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Then you've got Paris Hilton fan number 2 is Anya Savcic, Savcicm. But she's Scarlet in Big Sky. And then Odette
What's
in
Big
Nancy
Sky?
Drew. It's a series on TV right now, and I think we've got some crossover characters in the actors in that one. Odette and Nancy in the Nancy Drew series, and then she's Claire in Loudermilk. She was Sky in The Magicians, and she was in a film that we need to look up that I didn't know existed. She was Brooke in a film called Chupacabra versus the Alamo.
We may be watching that this weekend.
So there we go. Those are our main ones. We've got also real quick. Elle was played by Cynthia Mendez, and she did have a bit part as a member of the Coven Choir in The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
Oh, this Paris just says awesome, and then
puts a Louboutin in Dean's face.
Was it a Louboutin?
Yeah, it had a red sole. I'm assuming.
Okay,
it was a Louboutin. Would Paris wear a fake Louboutin?
She would not. I did not see the red sole. I was more looking at the heel, and because I was like,
"Is that going to go through his eye socket?"
Like how can you live just getting stomped with a shoe in the first place? But anyways, but she does awesome, and so she does that, and we cut to a next scene,
and she is sitting so sweetly and calmly, sharpening her array of ceremonial knives. And our brothers are each tied to trees.
So this is the one thing I had about the trees. This is a wax museum.
These are fake trees.
Those are probably styrofoam
or paper mache of some kind.
Like, why is Danielle still tied to, like, chained to this?
It's very bizarre.
I'm pretty ssure you could, like, even Danielle could just been like,
pick it up and walk with it, drag it behind you, like something weird.
So, but we'll live in the moment. This is they're real trees they are tied to.
Yeah, and so it gives a good opportunity for Leshi Paris to give her villain speech, like you have to do, about how.
And she does a great one. She has a great villain monologue.
For sure. She's talking about how she, she's really glad they're awake now, and so she can do it right and do the ceremony and have a good meal, because she's been doing fast food, and people used to adore her, but now they don't. And Dean calls her a backwoods forest god, which I was amused by. But basically, apparently, her Balkan forest was cut down to build a Yugo plant, and so she was scrounging for scraps. But because the apocalypse got triggered, now she's gonna fucking feast.
Why not, man? Like, end is near. I'm gonna chow the fuck down and get me some good food. Get some slow cooking.
Yeah, and this wax museum is full of fucking super fans. She don't care. They're not her fans. They're fans of somebody, so she can eat their asses anyways.
Ride that coattail. Like, you hop on that and you just get that coattail through. And like, sometimes you need like, self-care is important. Like, you can't always eat fast food. You need to slow down, mindfully observe what you're putting into your body. You are what you eat. Girls gotta eat. So just slow down. Think about this lovely meal that you're about to prepare.
I think, but the next part of this conversation is where it is, I don't know, it's exceptionally well written. That's all I'll say. But as I give the kind of the synopsis of it, obviously you've watched this. Everybody that's listening has probably watched this. But he's Dean's like, we've met gods before, but you're the nuttiest. She's like, no, y'all are the crazy ones. You used to worship gods, but now it's all about, you were all about idolatry and celebrity, small dogs and spray tans. You used to have old time religion. Now you have Us Weekly.
Woo! Like, hey, once again, like, the show is just laying it out, being like, yeah, humans,
Yeah.
y'all silly. You're nutty.
Yeah.
You're nutty for worshiping Paris Hilton. And at least I also
Mhm.
appreciate that she also took this role. I read because of this too. Like, we're talking about this idea of celebrity and what that effect has on like the human psyche and what it does. And this really, I love her poking fun at herself here.
Do too. I thought it was
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. And then Dean makes a reference about being more of a penthouse forum man. But funny enough, Paris Hilton was in Playboy. Anyways. There you go. And she just makes references to yummy meat on his bones. And
Yummy.
but this is where he kind of makes like cracks about not being a Paris Hilton BFF and he's never seen House of Wax.
Well, what is better is that the whole entire acknowledgement of I've never even seen House of Wax, and then they cut to Jared Padalecki's face, and he's just like, "What?"
Yeah,
we're here for you. Got it.
Clever stuff. So, and she's like, "I can read your mind, so I know your hero is your daddy." Ugh.
Ew.
Yeah. So she talks about his distant father figure issues, and she gets the fucking axe. So this is bad. But guess what? Even though she gets the axe.
She gets the axe because she figures out that John must have owned this axe.
This axe.
This waxy axe.
Waxy.
But she's like, yeah, like I could this, and also that didn't even click, right? And so this is John's axe that was in trunk, and so they've been carrying around John's axe. And he's like, oh, so I can use this to pull his. Well,
she goes to grab it, but before she's able to actually grab it, luckily I should say, actually, then Dean's able to escape the ropes because even though he couldn't fucking move this, paper mache tree, at least he could untie the ropes from his goddamn hand and tackles her. And there's a fight. And Sam breaks loose and is able to get the axe.
Yep.
Whew. Sam gets some stress relief out.
Yep, he big head a lot.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like the second thing was necessary. I just feel like by the fourth, we're just going overboard.
At that point, like, is the head not off, or you're just chopping at the floor?
It's a lot of blood splatter.
There was a paper mache version of her head that got kicked around like a soccer ball. So, but yeah, so Sam kills her, and then
Leshi
and then
Hilton.
he uses the opportunity to taunt his older brother
by getting wailed on by Paris Hilton. It's pretty fun.
Hard as the relationship is, like, at least you still have the I'm not going to lose this opportunity to give you shit for getting beat down by Paris Hilton.
So we cut back to we get to go have our brothers visit Sheriff Carnegie, and we find out that Danielle is going to be all right, but she has sworn off the simple life. But that Sheriff is putting out an APB on Paris Hilton. And now we get a poignant and important conversation between the Winchester brothers. What? Growth? Huh?
Maybe. So Dean says, look, I've been thinking about it, and maybe you're right. Maybe I wasn't so innocent in everything that's happening, but also, like, it's not your fault. Nobody could have seen this coming.
Yeah. Who would have guessed that killing Lilith would be bad? That seemed like pretty much a given that everybody wanted to kill fucking Lilith. But yeah. And maybe I should stop obsessing over your every move. And Dean apologizes.
He expressed feelings. He said, I'm sorry.
What? He said, I'm sorry.
I know. I'm sorry.
What?
It is the end of the world. So might as well say it now.
Yeah. So Sam is like, wow, like, okay, so what are we going to do next then? We got to, try to get away from our destiny. And they both agree, though, like, we're going to face down whatever's in front of us and go down fighting.
Yeah, Sam gives a very rousing speech, right? So he takes on, like, I think this is also, we see Sam being like, hey, like, I want to be a leader, so I need to actually, like, do this. Yeah. And he's just like, maybe I am on deck for the devil. Maybe same with you and Michael. Maybe there's no changing that. but we can stop wringing our hands over it. We just gotta grab onto whatever's in front of us, kick its ass, and go down fighting. I got very Scottish. I don't know why. I just got...
You did.
Hey, I did figure out through Ancestry DNA that I am descended from chiefs of clans, so that's what's coming out. Sam gets very Scottish. I don't know. But really is just kind of just like, hey, let's kick its ass. Let's just do something. And Dean's like, yeah, like I'm on board. Which is, you think about, Dean's personality. This does seem like the type of thing that Dean could get behind. Just like, dude,
he's like, I can sign on for this. I can sign up for this. Yeah, he's ready. Yeah. So, but then he gives Sam the keys to baby. It's so symbolic. He's giving Sam the wheel to guide them their next mission or whatever they're gonna do.
Wherever they're going. Yeah.
While the song "Superstition" plays by Beck, Ogre, and Appin.
Very superstitious. Yeah, but it's a great... I feel like it's a turning point. So
yes,
maybe Dean's growing up. Maybe we're gonna...
Maybe so.
Maybe
so. It seems like at least it's even if it's not fully growing up, because I think that's probably a big ask. I do feel like it's progress, if that makes sense at all. So,
well, it's definitely at least men talking about their feelings, which is always a progress. And I don't feel like there is any subterfuge in any of this. Like, I feel like Sam is
it's
really
all
on
sincere.
board with
it's
this.
Not, yeah, they're both serious about wanting to do this. It's just if it works.
Yeah. So let's wrap this up.
Yeah, no, it's a super fucking fun episode. You told me I was going to love it, and I did. It was great. Thank you, Paris Hilton, for making this extra special.
Yeah,
Paris Hilton? That's my
Thanks, Paris. I don't think this would have
hot.
been the same. It is. That's hot. I don't think it would have been the same episode without her.
No, I fully agree. And just like the amount of self-awareness for her to say her monologue that she does, that's fucking cool as shit. I love it.
And also, I really feel like the show is strongest, especially at this point in its progress in the 5th season. At this point, it's still like the strongest when it's a monster, right? We've got a monster of the week that we have to... We're still battling with our relationship, right? We're still have the
obviously
everything that's going on. We're still battling the apocalypse, but when they can focus, yeah, and so when you can focus their energy on something, I think then the relationship just becomes better, which is probably unhealthy, but
Well, and the thing too is that you can have the monster of the week like this. It was still tied into the apocalyptic timeline, because it's like, well, Leshi's like, yeah, I'm fucking feasting because the apocalypse is fucking coming, so fuck it. So it was like made sense still in that regard.
Y2K, yeah, motherfucker.
And then they also, the brothers had to come together to help each other defeat the monster. So like, the layers behind that are absolutely true. I think you hit the nail on the head with that. When they've got, you still have the overarching storyline, you still have the drama of the relationship, you still have the fucking apocalypse, but you also have the, monster of the week, and that's really driving everything else on the path. I think it was smart.
That was smart. And yeah, and just also, it wasn't a bummer, as I get through and as we're moving these things to YouTube, go subscribe.
Smash the like button. Subscribe.
Smash the like button. There's been the past couple episodes, like Diana rates this episode a bummer. Diana rates this episode a bummer, because they haven't been that fun. We've had, we're only five episodes into the season, but they haven't.
They were some fucking bummers, man. Don't mean I didn't enjoy it, but they're still fucking bummers sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was super fun.
It was super fun. I thought it was very clever. Just the entire premise of it, I think, was great. And
agreed.
Yeah. So I say, we rate this episode not a bummer.
Not a bummer.
I think we're going to close it out.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
All right. Cheers, jerk.
Cheers, bitch.
Devil's Trap Podcast is a Don't Get It production. Meow.
Devil's Trap Podcast is part of the Ship It Studios podcast network. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Devil's Trap Podcast, Twitter at Devil's Trap Pod, or you can email us at devilstrap@devilstrappodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave reviews, and share with all your friends. We're at all your favorite podcast outlets and at devilstrappodcast.com. I'm Babe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.